Hey, I thought I'd sit down here and answer some feedback. Question was asked, does a narcissist ever care? Is it ever real with a narcissist? The main one that I want to address is, what do you do, or do you keep loving somebody while they're hurting you? That's the topic we're going to take on today. But when you find yourself in love with a narcissist, remember, a narcissist is somebody that's selfish. They're self-centered. They have no remorse. Their whole living is about fulfilling their needs, their wants, their desires. They have no room for anybody else in their life other than to use you as a tool. So, let me create a scenario, because we're able to do things, we're able to understand things, when we can look at it outside of our own situation. So let me try to paint a story. In my experience with narcissists, I have always found myself wearing my heart on my sleeve. That is the reason why I gravitate narcissists, because they look for the nice person, the person that's always willing to help, to do, to give, and that's the perfect person for them. They don't have to have no, competition with that individual. They're already in a giving spirit. So they gravitate to those that give. Some give sacrificially and others give suicidally. That's why we were teaching yesterday on stewardship. Stewardship is not just, managing your finances and stuff like that. Stewardship is, self-preservation. Don't give too much of yourself. Distractions come to, keep you off your kilter, let's just say. If you don't have enough rest, if you're sleep deprived, the enemy and demonic spirits or narcissist flesh can come in and really wreak havoc in your life, because you can't focus if you're tired, if you're sleep deprived, if you got too many irons in the fire. That's not good for you. You can't focus. You can't have self-control because you're feeling overwhelmed. You're all over the place. And that is the playground for a narcissist. That is the playground for the enemy, any enemy that comes into your life. Because as long as you don't have no self-control, no self-discipline, you're not concentrating on you, then they can just take you and use you like a rag doll. Before you know it, your bank account is drained. You done lost your house, lost your kids, you done lost everything, because you've been living basically listening to them. You've been following them. We got to stay focused in our own life. We got to stay woke, I like to say. Sleep deprivation, people don't think that that's all that. But if you study it, look it up. Sleep deprivation causes problems. It can cause you to hallucinate. It can cause you to have health issues, diabetes. It can cause you to have a lot of stress, high cortisol levels. It can cause your hormones to be out of whack. It can cause you to live life on a scale that is totally out of this world. Anxiety, depression, all because of sleep deprivation. You got to look at it like this. We charge our cell phones all the time when we see that the battery is getting low. We know that we need a battery, in order to be able to talk to people, to use it, to have its full function. We also know that when our batteries get a certain level, say 20%, some of our apps on our phone don't even work. Well, it's the same thing with our body. When we are sleep deprived and we haven't recharged our spirit, we haven't recharged our body, our flesh, by getting the sleep, the rest that we need, by getting the nutrients that we need, by, learning, by charging our spirit, our motivation, whatever spirit is motivating you, be it of God or be it of the devil, I want to say, negative energy, whatever energy is motivating your spirit. If you don't recharge it, you're all over the place. You find yourself falling out. Some people just collapse of exhaustion. So that is the playground. We call it the devil's playpen. When you are so into something else that you're not focusing on your own life. You have to be a good steward. I just come out of a situation where I was running around trying to do business all by myself, trying to help this one and help that one, and trying to keep the things in my house going. I'm in school, my job, my children, everything. I was all over the place, overwhelmed. I sought out help, sought out somebody that could help me in an area to free up time, for me to do the things that I do. But because I wasn't focused, I didn't know that individual was going through something and that individual was going to turn on me and cause havoc, more havoc in the area that I needed help in. So that was a domino effect, because it led other people to do certain things. It led other people, there was lying and cheating and stealing and, all of that going on, because I was sleep deprived and I was trying to do everything all by myself. That's why, it's better, two heads are better than one. Trying to do things all by yourself, that's not how the design is. Yes, I preach independence, because if I'm always codependent on somebody and that somebody is not here, then that's going to put me at a disadvantage, because if that person ain't there no more, I can't flow. That's why you got to learn to do things on your own and, be able to share and help, but not be so codependent on somebody that you don't know nothing for yourself. That don't mean that you got to stop educating yourself, that you got to stop learning for yourself. You can get people to help you get into something, but make sure there's somebody that can teach you to go along the way. I'm an advocate. Don't start a business unless you know about the business. Don't start a business because somebody knows how to do this, that, or the other, knows the administration to run or whatever. Because if they ever turn on you, or if they ever find a better situation and they go off to somewhere else, you're sitting there with a business that you can't run because you never educated yourself. You just put your time and trust in somebody else. And trusting people nowadays, because of all the hurt and the pain that we've been through, and some are still going through due to the pandemic and deaths and all the inflation and what's going on in the world, we're raising up a lot of narcissists. We're raising up a lot of selfish people, because everybody's trying to fill their own storehouse to make sure they have for whenever whatever happens in the world. We're threatening a World War III, threatening a nuclear war. Everybody trying to hoard all this stuff before nuclear war get. So what are we supposed to do? Sit there and eat, as we watching our flesh decay? Because when that happens, food and money and all that ain't gonna matter no more. It's just a matter of time. So we need to be making sure that we storing up treasures, in eternity. Whichever one you gonna go to, let's just say that. You either gonna go for peace or you gonna go for damnation. You know, and that's all going to be determined on the lifestyle that you live here on earth. This is just training ground. So narcissists are very, very selfish people. And they treat people and mistreat people so bad to where I can't see a lot of them going to lay down in peace. Because they operate off the backs of others and they hurt others. Do they know that they hurt others? Yes, they do know. They know, but they're so busy living in a facade to where they're trying to justify their actions. They live in a mindset where everything they do, they gotta try to find a justification for it. They gotta lie for it. They got a reason for the reason why they do to make them feel better. You know, they can slap you in the face, but they can come up with some excuse like, I was trying to keep you woke or whatever. Something to justify their heart so that they don't have to feel any type of emotion, so that they can be numb about it, so that they can mistreat you and do you wrong and it not affect them. Narcissists know what they're doing. I'm not saying they taking pleasure in it, because what they're taking pleasure in is receiving the thing that they're after. So, like I say, for example, I watched an individual covet or try to move me out of my position, or how do I say, try to insurrect me out of my position. They wanted my position. I asked for help. They said they would help, but they didn't want to sit down. They was making excuses, the reason why they were supposed to still be up in my position. Like, you know, I was to pray or go to God and ask, like God was going to tell me that, okay, yeah, this is the position. What, I'm supposed to take all this education and just sit off in the back burner somewhere and do nothing. Or I'm supposed to shut up and go off somewhere else and start something else, which in history, repeating itself, this individual follows me everywhere I go and they always want to take over. So that was a conscious interrupt that was revealed to me with this last thing, because I was actually sitting there looking in the face of an individual that's selfish and had selfish desires and making justification for the reason why he was doing what he was doing, because he was trying to covet my position. He couldn't ask me to step down, but he was trying to make it so that there was justification or reasoning behind my position, having my position. So I let God fight my battle. And I wasn't going to go back and forth against that, because I know that if God be for me, who can be against me? So whatever God decides is what's going to take place. But to look at that individual in the face, after all the things that I've done for this individual, after all the help that I've been to this individual, you know, bending over backwards here, bending over backwards there, making sure this person has the ends or the supplies that they request. And for them to turn in my face like that and try to justify it, you know, it's a wake-up call when God exposes a narcissist. You never know how they're going to be exposed to you. But had that never happened, I probably would have still been going on, you know, doing things. But because I'm 52 years old and I'm being told by a young individual that I need to shut up and I need to basically sit down and let this take place, that made me feel some type of way. So it got my attention. You know, the narcissistic spirit is very selfish, to the point where they do some selfish things some outlandish things, and they say some outlandish things, you know, stuff that really don't make no sense. I guess people are supposed to be talking about this individual, and they were expressing that they hear. You know, they can read the thoughts. You know, only God can. That sounds demonic. You know, they'll say things that don't make no sense, that, you know, don't have Bible base, nothing. So I don't know if that was being directed to me or what, because anything that anybody want to know that I say is right here on the platform. The only thing I did say about this individual was I never knew that this individual was going to try to take my position. So had I known that they were going to do that, I never would have asked. So now I guess I wasn't supposed to say that. But anyway, that's what I'm just trying to explain, how a narcissist will go through whatever channels they need to get what they want. And a lot of them are living in lack. You know, it's like a bottomless pit. So when you try to love somebody that's hurting you, for example, trying to love that individual while they're trying to take something from me, something that's very passionate to me, something that I was created for, you know, that I have the vision for, trying to still love that individual is hard. But, you know, there are different types of love. You know, there are different measures of love. So I'm at the point now where I can love that individual to make sure they still breathing on the face of this earth. Because as long as they still breathing, they got a chance to repent. They got a chance to make it in. You know, that's all I'm required to do now, is to make sure that their soul still has an opportunity to repent and go to God and get the, you know, salvation that they need, you know. So, but trying to love somebody that's hurting you on a level where you're trying to create a life with them, it's really hard. And what you're doing is self-sabotaging yourself by trying to be in a relationship with somebody that's just self-centered, think of themselves. You got to realize you're in a relationship that's one-sided, which means you're going to have to do any and everything to try to keep that relationship going. You're going to have to be the one who makes the decisions, who come up out of pocket, because they just going along, tag along Cassidy. But you're the one that's trying to build the relationship. You're the one that's trying to keep the relationship, you know, get it afloat. You're the one that, you know, even in a marriage, when you happen to marry somebody and that one individual is sitting there allowing you to do all the work, you know, they just going along with the flow. You know, one day they like it, the next day they don't. They're not putting any effort into anything. You know, they're just going based off what you're saying and doing. So the thing is, your best bet, now I'm going to say this, you know, I want to say always go to God if you marry. Because, you know, that's a three-chord thing. That's God, your spouse, and you. So between the three, y'all got to work that out. You know, divorce, you know, sexual immorality is grounds for divorce. If you got your spouse having sex with somebody else, that's breach of contract. So I would say, based on scripture, that it's already null and void. You can go get your divorce. But like I say, go to God. I don't want to be God in your life. I don't know if God can take that thing and use it and you still be in a relationship. But if you can't forget that and you can't get over that and you can't forgive, you might as well get a divorce, because you'll never be able to love that person genuinely and not have that in your heart. So, like I say, always say, go in everything you do, get an understanding. In all you're getting, get an understanding. In everything you do, seek ye first the kingdom of God. In everything you do, you got to go to God first. You render your will to God. In every decision that you make, every single, I don't care what kind of clothes you're wearing today, give it to God. Let him orchestrate your life. And that brings to another point. The narcissist is in your life because God allowed it. Sometimes God allows a narcissistic or selfish individual to come into your life to bring you a conscious interrupt, because maybe you're too comfortable. Maybe life is going too good for you. In order to elevate, you got to have something come in your life and stir it up. So I understand why this selfish individual came into my life, because every time this individual comes into my life, it stirs my life up. And like the scriptures say, that Goliath showed up on the scene because it was time to elevate David. So this individual showed up on the scene because it was time to elevate me. It was time for me to come out of my comfort zone. It was time for me to do something different. It was time for some truth to be known. So now that I know the truth, now that I know who's in my corner, now that I know that this individual does not love me, just wants to take everything from me, love him from a distance. I don't have to keep carrying that person with me. I don't have to keep pouring into that person, because basically when you're pouring into somebody that's hurting you, that doesn't love you, you're losing strength. Because you pouring into that person pouring into themselves, or maybe they pouring into somebody else, adultery, infidelity, maybe they pouring into somebody else. So how are you benefiting from that? Why would you want to keep going along that path? You constantly giving yourself, you giving out stuff and you're not getting no reciprocity. Anywhere that you're giving in your life and it's going out and you're not getting no reciprocity, you're not, feeling, any appreciation, you're around people that's not grateful or whatever, and you constantly pouring into them, but they not pouring into you, you're going to drain. That's how you get drained. That's how you need to, have help. You need to go off and, restore, replenish you, restoration. If people was constantly pouring into me and I, went run around trying to help, I would have never had to have that individual or ask that individual. So God allowed things to happen or allowed that situation to come to stir some things up, to wake some people up, to get them out of their comfort zone, to shake some stuff up. So I want to say the enemy, the narcissistic spirit, the selfish person comes into your life to shake you up, to move you out your comfort zone. Pain comes to let you know you're alive. So as this person is hurting you, you loving this person with all your might, all your heart, but this person is giving you nothing but hurt. It's letting you know that you're alive. And you're going to do any and everything that you want to do, but you do it with some pain. And now your focus is on the pain. And when we have pain, what we want to do is focus on getting that pain out, moving that pain away. We want to remove the pain. So I was focused on the pain, how I got to get it out of my life. And the only common denominator is to disconnect, not to pour into somebody that's taken from me, that's hurting me, that's trying to kill everything that I built or God has built. You know, you cannot create a life with a narcissist and it not be a life where you're always following and pouring into that individual. You're always going to feel like you're less than, like it's not enough. You're always going to feel like you can't get enough. Like, and you're going to be overwhelmed because you're always trying to benefit them, but there's no benefit to them. The flesh is not satisfied. And that's what they're living in, is the flesh. It's our spirits are who we are. Our soul is who we are. But it's being carried around in a flesh suit. And while our soul is so focused on filling the flesh, you know, getting the flesh what it wants, we're not edifying our soul. At the end of the day, the flesh is going to go back to the earth. So when it goes back to the earth, our soul is still sitting there, you know, eternally. Which way we're going to be going? You know, if we had peace or if we had hellfire and damnation. Because that's what we created in everybody's life. So, loving somebody that's while they're hurting you. Let me try to put some science on it. A narcissist is left brain. Left brain is logical. It's got to make sense. They live in a space where everything got to make sense, where everything has got to be logic. It's got to have some logic to it. If it don't make sense, then what's the point in doing it? They're not right brain, which is emotional. They don't embark off emotions. Matter of fact, they spend their life trying to suppress their emotion. They don't want to feel nothing. They don't want to have any kind of, they don't like to cry. You know, some of them don't even like to laugh, because sometimes you get to laughing uncontrollably. It takes you out of character. They just want to stay neutral. They want to stay focused. They want to do what you should be doing so you don't get distracted. So as they're focused, they're able to maneuver and be strategic in their movements in how to take you down. And they don't look at it as taking you down. They look at it as retrieving the bounty or getting the treasure or getting the thing from you that they want. So I said before, narcissists only have people in their life as a tool. Narcissists themselves are loners. They just use people to get out of them what they need to better build their empire, better they plot. After they got that, they're done with you. If you can't be somebody that's beneficial to the legacy of the empire that they're building, they have nothing to do with you. Like I was saying before, I used to be on a board where, you know, I had position, I had power, and an individual had all that they wanted to do, you know, always in my face, always calling, you know, always there, because I had position and power. But the moment I said I wasn't on that board anymore, all of a sudden, they started to discredit me. They started to come at me. I was a piece of meat. I wasn't no good because I wasn't beneficial anymore. So that's what I'm saying. I can teach on narcissism because I come from a perspective of living around or being involved in relationships with narcissists. Also, I understand the mindset of a narcissist because as a single mom, I've had to be left brain in order to be logical, to be able to steward over my house, to be able to raise my children, all of this by myself. You know, I couldn't resort to my emotional side, the nurture side, because emotions can't be, let's just say it like this. The president of the United States can't be emotional because they can't govern. They can't do, well, technically the president is just the mouthpiece. The Congress is the one that do all the rules and regulations and make the laws and everything. But the point I'm trying to make is you can't be emotional and be the head or the lead of something because you'll base everything on your emotions. That's why God gave us logic and emotion. He gave both male and female logic and emotion, because sometimes you're going to need logic. Sometimes things going to have to make sense. And sometimes you're going to have to, you can't just go around being logical, hurting everybody and not be able to feel about it. Like I said, this happened with this individual. In their mind, they was just logic. They just got to get it. They just making justification while looking in my face. I guess the justification is supposed to make me feel better as to why you are hurting me in my face. Why you trying to covet something from me, take something from me at the same time. So this individual, narcissist, do not have emotion. Therefore, they can't relate to the pain that I was sitting there feeling. And because I didn't fall out and act like a toddler or whatever, that's perfect for them. Now, had I done that, it probably would have been a whole different dilemma. But because I can hold myself, because I have self-control, I have self-discipline, and I know how to just begin to pray as this individual is coming at me, trying to take from me at the same time. I just began to start talking to my Father, because in order to keep yourself focused, like I say, you go to God. That's how I was able to keep myself focused and not jump out of that chair and go ghetto, as they say. Go black. Show my culture or whatever. So it's not good to be in a relationship loving a narcissist while they're hurting you, because it's self-sabotage. So I would say go to God. But one thing I will say is get some space. Get some distance between the two of you. So that way you could have, you can think. You can process your thoughts. And you don't have that individual constantly in your face, trying to change the dynamic of your mind or whatever. So get some space. Go, get to yourself so you can make a judgment or a decision based on your thoughts and not what this individual is trying to put in your head. Go no contact. You may find that you like that and stay that way. Or if you can't handle it, you may find you reaching out. But at least create a space to where you don't have that individual in your ear. Faith comes by hearing. I don't care what you hear, that's what you're going to have faith in. Now, Scripture says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. I advocate for that. Listen to the word of God, but make sure it's bearing witness with God. Because there's a lot of narcissists in the pulpit too. They want to tell you any and everything. Because I was talking about that Jim Jones. All he had is selfish desires of what he wanted, and led them people all the way over there to a jungle to a mass suicide. Had they been focused and talking to God for themselves, I don't think that would have went that way. It didn't go that way for all of them. Some of them decided to hide up under bed. Why would you all of a sudden decide to do that? It's because you started praying and talking to God. And God told you what to do. You didn't follow the masses and end up in the position or the predicament that they're in. Then people had faith in what they did. Faith come by hearing. They heard that man and they followed that man. And they ended up dead. They end up killing themselves. So And a lot of that got to do with them. People must have been hurting on the inside too. They must have could relate to some of the things that he was saying about the pain that he was, no peace and all of that. You gravitate people that have relational to you. Like I gravitate a lot of people that's been through sexual abuse because I've been through sexual abuse. I can talk about it, and they want to gravitate to the one that may have the answer to their pain or whatever. That's another thing with narcissism. Having sex with a narcissist basically it's not a relationship where the two of you are in the throes of passion. The narcissist is basically trying to relieve themselves and trying to release pressure. And during, you got all kind of games and whips and chains and 50 Shades of Grey, all that kind of stuff. Those people have some type of agenda in their mind that they trying to play out because they've had some type of trauma or maybe some type of sexual abuse. Or womanizers, they can't stand women. Womanizers hate women. They just use them as a tool. There's a lot of, narcissists are womanizers. They want to use you as a rag doll, blow up doll, or whatever, because there's no intimate connection with a narcissist. So being in love with somebody that's hurting you, that means you can't even do that. There's no intimacy. You trying to connect with somebody that ain't even connected with themselves. They have a disconnect from their own emotions, their own personality. They don't know who they are. I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep drilling that in your head because a narcissist does not know who they are. They too busy trying to get. They too busy trying to be selfish and grab everything that they can get. All these things, these tangible items, money. They trying to get, who they are is in what they can get. They don't want to sit down and find out who they are within themselves. Your personality comes from within. And they don't sit time and do that because they too busy trying to be the next millionaire. Or they want to get this, prestige. They seek power. They seek everything on the outside, stuff that you can't take with you. Narcissists are beggars. They always asking for something. Or if they can't get it by asking, then they trying to create a scenario or facade where they want to take it from you. If you won't give it willingly, they control, their horns start showing. And then they're going to find another way to be strategic, to take it from you. And when they can't take it from you, they start biting off ears. They come out the flesh. They step into the flesh and they lash out at you. That's demonic. That's, most of them have the spirit of divination. They dealing with all these other kind of things. You got dream catchers. You got all these astrology. You got all these other spirits or mindsets that people get into. Narcissists play and dabble in a lot of everything. Whatever they feel can give them power. Whatever tool they feel they can use to get them what they want. They try to do mind control and, all of that. Psychology is a big thing that they study. Psychology is studying the mind, the behavior of people because, whatever you think, that's what your body is going to behave out of. Your heart is how you behave. If your mind can convince your heart to behave in a certain way, then that's how, that's what you're going to do. But there's power when you think a thing and it gets to your heart and you begin to move. If you just think something and it never get in your heart, it don't ever come to pass. That's why we had this procrastination. Because procrastination is thinking of something, but we never convince our heart or get up and do nothing about it. It's just always something we gonna do. We always keep putting it off. I was talking about them open-ended promises. Narcissists will give you open-ended promises because they don't want to believe that they're a lie, but they're liars because they can't remember one thing they told one person to the next or whatever. You can't be in love with a liar because you never know who that liar really is. That, one minute they one person, then you hear something else from somebody else and, I didn't remember or I said this lie on top of lie on top of lie. I heard one to where they couldn't even remember where they worked. They had so many jobs, so many streams of income. But yet and still, they was always asking me for gas money. You know, when the narcissist is exposed, it's a shame. They can't deal with that shame. They don't know how to respond to that. And that's why no contact is good, because you don't know how they're going to respond to you if you know all their secrets. And if you're the significant other of a narcissist and you decide to leave, you can't go nowhere with their secrets. They're going to try to smear you. They're going to try to defame you. They're going to try to destroy your character. All of that. That's why I say, you always cover your butt. I have cell phones that I have never turned in when I got new phones because they have vital information on them. In case anything ever happened or come up with a narcissist that I have dealt with, I got them sitting up just collecting in a box. Because that information on there is more valuable to me than the little bit of money they're going to give me for upgrading a phone. You got to keep your proof, because narcissists, they don't have no new tricks. They're going to come back with the same old stuff when they trying to get something from you. And they're going to keep coming back until they get it. They're sore losers. They don't like to lose. So if they see something that they want from you, something that you have, something they want to covet, they're going to constantly mess with you. And I mean, they even going to come in and talk about they changed and, they sorry and they want to act repentant or whatever, but be careful with that. Because narcissists is going to do whatever they're going to do to obtain what they want to obtain. And then after they obtain it, there ain't nothing else. They're done with you until they see you got something else they want. They off to the next. They're never satisfied. They're full of anxiety. They can't sit still. They're fidgety. You can't see peace in them when they're in their flesh. Now, gifts come without repentance. I'm not saying a narcissist is going to be that way all the time, because sometimes they got to take off their mask. And then you have people that are really trying to change. You have people that, that can meditate and pray and be at peace, but when they see something they want, it's like a trigger. They start stepping into their character. Stepping into who they really are. Because the only time you find peace with a narcissist is when they're quiet. When they open their mouth, they expose the true intent, the agenda. And generally, it's surrounded around money or monetary things. They'll tell you, I need you to do this. I need you to get here. I need you to get that, or whatever. They'll show you where they need you to be beneficial in their life so that they can have access to something. So there was one narcissist that married somebody to get access to some funds because they couldn't have access to it. And then they had the access to the card all the time, and then just started raping the organization. Knowing they wasn't supposed to have access to it, but because it was through somebody else's name, they still had to. See, I'm trying to tell you, narcissistic individuals only use you because their whole plight and plot is self-centered, to build their own self up. There's no satisfaction on the inside of them. They feel satisfaction for a moment when they obtain the thing that they're after, but after the celebration is gone, they're on to the next. The love bombing phase, where they're so in love with you because, you know, you're doing for them, you're giving them compliments, you're giving them accolades. I mean, you're pushing them to greatness. They don't have that from nowhere else. So naturally, their emotions aren't built up to handle that. So you can buy them a piece of gum and they just all over themselves for you. So when that love bombing phase ends, they on to the next. It don't last long because they can't be satisfied. The flesh cannot be satisfied. Narcissistic individuals live to feed the flesh, to serve the flesh. I don't care how big or how grandiose, how big of a house, how big of a car, how expensive of a car. They always gonna keep going, you know, more grandiose. But as they attain it, it's never gonna be enough. Because they trying to fill the hole in their soul. The hole, the only place that belongs to the Creator. The one that created them. And until they fill that hole with the relationship with the one that created them, they can't love themselves, and they certainly can't love you. So, I got to get ready to go do some clients. But I just wanted to come on here and answer that question. You know, can you love somebody that's hurting you while they're hurting you? You can. But it's best to love them from a distance. Because if you're loving someone that is only constantly out to get you, to tear you down, then that means you're going to constantly be starting over. You're going to constantly trying to erect your life over and over again. So, in that loving the past they pain, that's noble, but you really can't do that. They got to want to release the pain. They got to want to do what it takes to stop living in pain themselves. They got to want to be delivered. I'm not saying a narcissist can't be delivered, because my God, my Lord and Savior, He can deliver anybody that wants to be delivered. It's free will. He's done all the work. He can do it. But they got to want to do the work. They got to want to come to Him. They got to want to be delivered. So that's why I say go to God. Maybe God may use you to lead that narcissistic individual to Him. But I say, make sure you got a relationship with God. Because if it's not that way and that's what you believe, you know, it can lead to domestic violence. It can lead to you losing or never doing anything in your life, never fulfilling the purpose in life that you were created for. It could lead to you losing or wasting your life. So make sure you're on the path that God has you on. You first got to have a relationship with God yourself. And God will not have you be in a relationship with somebody that Scripture say, be not unequally yoked with evildoers. So if you're being unequally yoked with evildoers, you ain't in the Word anyway. But if you go and you make that covenant, you got to go to God. If you haven't made that covenant, I would suggest you get to God and not make that covenant until you know that you know that you know that you know. And if you're already having sex with that individual, you done created a soul tie. So you're going to be distorted in your thinking anyway. Because how you going to sit there and try to figure out if you're supposed to be with this individual when you got their spirit running all up on the inside of you. I'm talking to the females now. The females that's already got that man's spirit running on the inside of them, and they trying to make a decision. Is this the one? Well, he was the one when you slept with him. When you slept with him, you married him. That's a covenant you created with him. He already the one. Now, that don't mean you're supposed to run out there and get that piece of paper. Like I said, always go to God. Get a relationship with God. Maybe get to yourself so God can purge you. Stop sleeping with the enemy. Stop sleeping with that individual. Get clarity in your mind. Get singleness of heart. You can't be single of heart if you sleeping with him, because you got all his spirit running around on the inside of you. You got your mind thinking. You trying to hear God, and you know the enemy putting his mind in there too. You just all over the place. Get one mind, one body, one spirit. Consecrate yourself and go before God. Get to yourself. Pray. Meditate. If your life is all havoc, topsy-turvy, you got so much coming at you, you got so many people doing things against you, pull back. Get to yourself. Get to God. Get to where you can hear your thoughts. Only your thoughts. You know, yeah, you're going to have the enemy put in there too. But get clarity of mind. Like I say, pray, meditate. Self-preservation. Come to yourself. Come to your own senses. You know, mindfulness. Bring it all back. Come back to the present. And then move forward from there. Don't live in the distraction, you know, what everybody else is telling you to do. Get control and reign over your own life. Don't just let people do any and everything they want. Like I say, that individual trying to take my position in my face, it caused me to bring it in, to hone it in, and say, okay, you know, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. Whether I wanted to fight this, whether I wanted to come in the flesh, whether I wanted to go to God, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. So naturally, I go to God. I come to myself. I start, you know, getting things in order. Getting my house in order. Make sure, you know, I'm being a good steward in my own life. And as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in my life and going to God, God is going to take care of whatever it is in my life. He's going to take care of that individual. If God wants me to be in that position, God will make it so that I'm in that position. The enemy can't take nothing away from you that God don't allow. So, you ain't got to step in the flesh. You ain't got to come out of character. When a narcissist comes at you, does you wrong, hurt you or whatever, you ain't got to put yourself in a position where you end up in jail for the rest of your life. Go to God. Get to yourself. Collect your thoughts. There's a scripture in the Bible talking about the prodigal son. He was out in the mud, living frivolously and all that. The Bible says when he came to himself, that means when he got himself together, when he thought about it, when he stopped living that way, and he said, my father, he got servants and everybody eating and everything. He got up, dusted himself off, and he went back to his father. You know, he repented. When our life is going topsy-turvy, we need to hone in. And that's what a narcissist don't want you to do. They don't want you to collect your thoughts. They don't want you to have peace of mind to hone in, because if you get focused, you can see the manipulation. You can see the lies and stuff that they're doing. The lies and stuff that they're telling. I had one that confessed something amongst a group of people, And I didn't hear it really well. I thought maybe I was just, you know, in my flesh and, you know, didn't hear it. So I didn't think nothing of it. I looked over it. I'm like, okay, maybe I heard it wrong. But when it was brought back to me, when I was asked, did I hear something? And then that's when I realized I heard what I heard. I was shocked. I was stunned. Because I knew then that that individual can't lead nobody if they can't even control their own self. You can't, scripture even says, how can you rule God's house if you can't rule your own house? So, when I heard that, and it was confirmed, I couldn't believe that this individual was trying to take something from me. And the reason why they seek control the way they do, this was another question. The reason why narcissists seek control and to manipulate you is because they have no control in their own life. They're insecure. They can't control their own life. They can't get people to listen to them in their own life. They can't get people to follow instruction in their own life. So they want to come try to rule and reign in your life because they have no control, no self-discipline in their own life. They want the power. They want to be above somebody. They want people, the majesty, the king wants people dropping stuff at their feet. And, they don't want to work. They lazy. They slothful. They really don't want to work. They just want you bringing stuff to them. They want you to go out and do all the work. Pimping ain't easy. They want you to bring everything to them. The pimp wants the prostitute to go out and put herself in harm's way and AIDS and diseases and everything to make the money to bring to him, and he ain't even do the work. Narcissists are selfish people, but they don't want to do the work themselves. They want they're the pharaohs of the court. They want the power and the prestige for themselves. So how do you love somebody while they're hurting you? You just pray for them. You go to God. You do whatever it takes to keep them breathing so they have that opportunity to repent. But beyond that, you do you. Because you can't continually love somebody that's constantly stabbing you or hurting you. The vision of love is Jesus on the cross. He loved us on the cross. With every stripe, with the thorn, a crown of thorns, he was beaten. That's what that looks like. And if God is not in that for you to do that, you can't do it. It ain't for you to do. He stayed up there and died for all of us, even the ones that was beaten on him. But even then, there came a time when he said, it is finished. I hope this blessed somebody today. I hope somebody got some clarity on loving someone while they're hurting you. You don't have to stay on that cross. You don't have to keep being beaten, taken advantage of. You can step away. You can disconnect. Go to God. If he ain't in it, you don't have the strength to do it anyway. So, love you. Practice self-preservation. Practice self-love. Pull back and start loving you. And then after you get full, after your cup start running over, If you feel like you want to go back to that individual, that's you. That's on you. But you may find that it was a blessing in that individual not being in your life anymore, because you may gravitate the one that's truly supposed to be there, the one that God sent you, that one that loves you and not just loves himself.